Okay, this video is for the person out there or the people out there that have realized recently that they have trust issues. And the trust issues that I'm specifically talking about stem from past relationships where your trust has been just trampled on, right? And maybe it's even a string of relationships that this was just a pattern that you noticed that was in your life. And now you're at a point where either one, you've sworn off relationships because of it, or two, you're now in a relationship with someone that you deeply feel you can trust. Like consciously, you know this person's trustworthy. They've proven themselves, right? Maybe there's evidence to show you that they are trustworthy. However, you are now experiencing parts of like triggering things from past relationships that are now coming into a good relationship, and you don't want the past stuff messing up this good new relationship. Okay, so I'm going to touch on 4 different things here. The first thing is that, well, actually, this is kind of like the intro, like trust is a foundation. Trust is like the foundation of relationships. And it's really sad because I've heard people say before, don't trust no one. I'm like, okay, I understand that you can't trust everyone, but trusting no one, then how are you going to have any good relationships in your life? And this can be friendships, it can be co-workerships, it can be boss-employee relationships, it can be a romantic partner. Like, you have to figure out who you can trust, but like trust is a foundation to a good relationship. So if you ever want a good relationship, you really want to be able to, one, trust yourself and your intuition and your gut feelings so that you know when you're meeting someone or if someone's in your life, whether you can or cannot trust them, because you want to pick out the people that you know you can trust so that you can develop relationships, right? So trust is very pivotal, it's very important. And I was having basically one of my coworkers came up to me last week, and this is why I'm making this video, because she was asking me, how do I trust this new person? Not so new, but how do I trust a person in this in a new relationship when everything from my past keeps like creeping up, like subconsciously? It's like, okay, so I'll give you an example. Let's say in your past, you're in a relationship and someone cheated on you and lied about it and just destroyed your trust, right? And now you're in a relationship where you really feel like this person is legit. They're genuine with you. You really feel consciously that you can trust this person. But what can happen is, let's say in the past, your past relationship, the partner was texting with other women and so forth, right? And he was just shady, or she was shady. And now you're finding that when this new partner of yours is texting a friend that is of the opposite sex, all these old issues are coming up, right? You're like, ooh, like what if he's cheating on me? Like, what if he likes this person? All these things are coming up when you really consciously know that he's probably not cheating on you. How do you get to that point where you can trust someone again after your trust has been completely shattered? So the first thing I want to address here is that in order to trust other people, you first need to be able to trust yourself. Because if you can't trust yourself, then you might pick out people that you can't trust. So how do you start developing, and this is very common, if you've been in a string of bad relationships or in one really bad relationship, you tend to lose your sense of trust in yourself, your self-trust, right? I know I've experienced that with a lot of my past bad relationships. It got to the point where I didn't trust myself because I'm like, I was letting those people in my life. I didn't know how to decipher who was good for me or not, until they proved otherwise, until they proved themselves, to be untrustworthy. And so how do you get to that point? And the best advice I can give you on developing your own self-trust is it's so simple. It's just following through on the things that you say you're going to do. And this does not have to be complicated. This doesn't have to be huge. I would literally suggest, if you're at this point where you can't really trust yourself to pick people, you can't trust whether or not you're letting someone in your life that you can trust or not, start with things that you normally do. Okay, so let's say you go to a job, and let's say you're like, okay, well, tomorrow I'm going to show up to work on time. Literally, pick something that you're already probably going to do, right? Your track record is you're always on time. So pick that. But be conscious about what you're saying. Be like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to make it to work on time. I'm going to get there on time. That's it. Now, the key thing here is that tomorrow, when you arrive on time to work, instead of just clocking in, going about your day, actually consciously celebrate it. Literally tell yourself like, oh my God, I am so grateful that I showed up on time. I promised myself I would do it, and I did it. So you want to acknowledge and celebrate the things that you follow through on for yourself. And these are things that you can control. Don't pick things that are, reliant on other factors. Pick things that you're in control of, that you're like, okay, I'm gonna do the dishes before I go to bed tonight. And when you do the dishes before you go to bed that night, you're going to celebrate that. You're going to be like, look, I'm so trustworthy. I said I was going to do the dishes and I did them. And acknowledge that and celebrate it. Like, send love to that part of you that's like, struggling with the trust. Okay. But when you're doing this, I know that sometimes what can happen is you can kind of, let's say one of your things is, when I get off of work tonight, I'm going to go work out. But let's say you had a really rough day at work. Let's say that you're exhausted and it actually would not benefit you to go work out after the day you had. Maybe the better thing to do is go home, eat a healthy meal, and go to bed early. Okay, so when you're doing this, let's say you pick working out and you realize that, I really shouldn't work out tonight. That's not going to be the best for me. Okay, so in those times where you realize that something better is, like, you need something different, instead of berating yourself, instead of going down that negative thought loop of, oh my God, but look I'm not trustworthy because I told myself I was going to work out. No, don't do that. That is, no. What you really want to do is acknowledge, be like, you know what? I know I said I was going to work out tonight, but that would not have been good for me. And so instead, I decided to come home and go to bed early. And I'm so grateful that I did that. Be grateful for the things that you're doing that may go against, what you said you're going to do, but for a fact that that is what you needed. Because if you're telling yourself and you're acknowledging, I'm doing something that's good for me, I'm doing something that's better for me than what I originally said I was going to do, explain that to yourself, even just out loud. Be like, I know I needed to go to bed early tonight because of X, Y, and Z, and I am very grateful that I'm allowing myself to do that. So treat yourself like someone you are in a relationship with, like if you told your partner, like, let's work out after work, and then you were just not having it. You're like, I just can't. What would you want the response from your partner to be to you in that moment? And give that to yourself, okay? Like, literally think that way, like compassion, kindness, self-love. You need to love yourself through all this, okay? So that is one way that's how I started developing my own self-trust, when I didn't trust myself at all. So after I came out of my bad relationships and everything, I didn't trust myself at all. Like, I didn't trust myself with picking healthy people in my life. I didn't trust myself to do the things that I said I was going to do because of all the trauma that I went through, right? There were reasons for it. So when you're starting to develop that trust, you want to start small. Start with little things like that. And it's amazing what even just talking to yourself and acknowledging like, hey, you got through a really hard day today. You're a badass. I'm so glad that you're taking extra time to sleep tonight. Have those conversations with yourself. Send kindness and then go back to like, okay, what do I want to do tomorrow? Okay, so be kind to yourself. Now, another thing that got brought up are like affirmations when we're dealing with the other person. So now we're going to jump over to, okay, I am now in what seems to be a very healthy relationship. There is evidence, meaning this person has put in effort to show me that they are trustworthy. They have not broken my trust at all once. But things from your past start to come up. So like maybe they're like, oh, I'm going to go have dinner with an old friend of mine and I'm really excited and it's somebody of the opposite sex and your brain is firing off triggers of like, oh my God, does he want to be with this person? Is he cheating on me? Okay, this stems from your past relationships and the past patterns. It's not something that you're typically like consciously conjuring up. It's your subconscious going, ooh, warning, warning. Okay, it's your subconscious, it's your body, it's your brain warning you because they know from past experience that this was something that caused you pain in the past. Okay, so we want to be kind to ourselves, okay, but first, affirmations, just telling yourself, I can trust him, I can trust him. That may not work because if deep down in your subconscious, from your past experiences, your brain is like, wait, what are you talking about? We can't trust people. We can't trust men. We can't trust our relationships. Like they always cheat on us. They always do X, Y, and Z. So just saying affirmations isn't really going to do much. But our brain loves questions. Our subconscious loves questions. So one way to help start to open up the subconscious to new concepts, meaning trust, you can start ask yourself questions. Instead of using affirmations, switch it with a question like, well, what if I can trust him? What if he has no interest in this person? What if he's not lying? What if he's telling the truth? So use questions if you're trying to pave new neural pathways. That's all it is. It's your brain from your past experiences have paved this path, and this path is very well worn in saying, oh, it's a warning sign. We got to go this way, meaning he's not trustworthy, freak out, maybe sabotage the relationship so that you don't get hurt, right? That's normal, okay? It's normal. It's normal. So 1, it's okay. This is normal. 2, what we want to do is when your brain wants to start going down that normal path, instead stop it and actually start asking other questions. What if I can trust him? What if he's not lying? What if he's telling me the truth? I mean, what evidence do I have that shows me that he's telling the truth? Now, if he has proven to you that he is trustworthy, like physically proven to you that, you can trust him, there's evidence that shows that you can trust him. Oh, you can see my little puppy. She has a little cone on her head right now. The cat decided to scratch her eye, which was not cool. But yeah, so she's groaning over there. She's doing good though. She has her antibiotics for her eye. She's not in pain. She's doing really good, but she's a little tired. Okay, so ask questions to start paving a new neural pathway. And another really key thing here is when you ask these questions, I want you to sit with your body and feel into how it feels. So if your normal pathway is, what if he's cheating on me? And you stop it and you go, what if he has no interest in this person whatsoever? What if he's telling me the truth? Sit and feel into, what does that feel like? imagine that being the truth. Imagine that being the case. Okay, now this works only with, now, if you still can't trust yourself and you got into another relationship, this works when the person has already proven like they're trustworthy. You know it consciously that you can trust this person, but things keep popping up, right? So finding the evidence that shows you that they can trust you and reminding yourself of that evidence is really, really helpful. And when you're asking yourself these questions, what if I can trust him? What if he's telling me the truth again? What if he's still telling me the truth? These are things that are going to help you pave new neural pathways that are going to allow the old path to start, the weeds will start growing on that one when you're not entertaining it and you're not going down there. And then you're going to start paving this new path over here when you know you can trust this person. Now, that doesn't mean that if he does something untrustworthy, that you're trying to bypass it. It just means that if he's proven that he's trustworthy or she's proven, I'm just using, I'm saying he because of the conversation I was having. It was with a he, but so start paving those pathways with questions and feeling into the feeling of what if that's the truth? Because you don't have any evidence of the contrary. He's never like done anything to disprove the trust, right? So disprove the trust. We know he's trustworthy. So start paving new neural pathways that way instead of trying to use affirmations that your subconscious is just going to like rebuttal and be like, no, I don't believe that. Okay. Yes. And this kind of comes back to that thing that I said before, where when your brain is going off like that, all it's doing is it's trying to keep you safe. It's recognizing that in the past, this wasn't safe. In the past, our partners did X, Y, and Z. So when you do have those thoughts that go down that well-paved road and you're like thinking like let's say, for example, your partner's like, I'm so excited that I'm going to go have coffee with an old friend of mine and it's someone of the opposite sex, that your brain is like, ooh, it's a threat. Okay, when your brain goes off like that and you start going down that path, if you do go down that path, you want to be kind to yourself, okay? And this will really, really help dissolve this, is whenever that happens, when you can catch yourself and be like, talk to it, literally talk to the crazy that's going on in your head. And I just say crazy because this is from my own experience. It makes me feel crazy, or it made me feel crazy when this would happen to me. So I would just talk to it, be like, thank you. You can give it a name too. Thank you, jealousy. Thank you. I don't know, give it a name, like whatever, you can get creative with that. Be like, thank you for being there. And thank you for warning me. Thank you for basically tell it, I understand that you're trying to keep me safe. I understand that you're trying to keep me safe, and I really appreciate that, but we don't need that anymore. This new person is trustworthy. We don't need that anymore, but thank you for being there and trying to keep me safe. Okay, sending love to the triggers and the things that are just there to try to keep you safe, acknowledging what they really are and why they're there is really helpful in dissolving and lessening the effect that they have. Because if you're not acknowledging it and all you're trying to do is like, okay, I see it come up, I feel it, oh my God, and you're diverting it over here, that's great that you're diverting it. But we still want to acknowledge why that's there. We want to, think of it as your little companions, your little guides, right? Like, we have our intuition, and our intuition is our guide. And so if you think of these reactions and normal patterns of behavior, if we think of them as our guides to help us get through life and talk to them as if they're people, and like, so if you had a friend, let's say like, okay, think of it this way. If this was happening and you told your best friend, you're like, yeah, he's going to go get coffee with his best friend from like 10 years ago. And your friend is the one going, oh my God, like, do you think he likes her? Do you think blah, blah, blah? You know, what would you think that she like, and this is a friend that you can trust, right? Let's say it's your best friend that's like there for you, right? They're probably bringing it up because they want you to be safe, right? They want you to, you know, like, what if this is a threat? You know, become aware, like maybe this is a threat. Like, can we really trust this person? So talk to them as if they are a person. Acknowledge, okay, I understand where you're coming from. I understand where you're coming from, definitely because of where I've been before. But we're good in this relationship. This person is proven himself, right? Like, we don't have to worry about that here. Okay. The fourth thing, and I saved this one for last because like it's actually it's probably like it should have been number one. But communication. So now you're in a new relationship, or if you haven't yet, if you've sworn off relationships, but you're trying to that this might not really, because this is all about communication with the new partner, with the new person that you know that has proven themselves. So this one is really for if you are in a new relationship and you are trying to develop trust for the first time, or since, you know, everything's happened, really being open and honest with your partner is so key, as because like you want them to also be aware of what you're struggling with. Because if this is all done like behind the scenes and you're not communicating your feelings to them, like that can be hard. So you really want to open up. And like, if this person is really trustworthy, you're going to feel like you can do that, right? And especially when you open up about this to them, that'll also dictate, it will tell you whether or not you'll get clues, you'll get hints, you'll get sensations of, oh, he really cares about me because he is listening to where I come from. He's listening to what I have to say, and he wants to help me develop this trust. Now, it takes two to have a good relationship, right? It takes two to develop trust together. So communication around this and around the thing that you're having and like some resistance and some issues with is so key. So communicating with the person, being like, hey, so you're going to go get coffee with this person, and I know consciously, I know I can trust you, and I consciously I don't like it. That's great. You should be able to go get coffee with your old friends. Like, that's normal, right? But then tell them, be like, you know, things are coming up and it's all based on my past relationships, and I'm trying to develop more trust. And when these things pop out and these little red flags, they can feel like red flags, basically. They're more like triggers. Like you're triggered and it's from the past. So talk about it. Tell them what you're struggling with and tell them your game plan. Like, okay, I know I can trust you. I want to be able to trust you. And so what I need from you is X, Y, and Z. And this is what I'm going to be doing so that I can start developing that trust. So something that maybe could be helpful. Now, this is going to be different for everybody too. And you really got to figure out like what feels right to both parties. And, you know, like, because there's one thing where you could be like, your partner could be like, well, let me show you my text messages to this person. This is our relationship. It's a friendship. You know, you can, but then there's a fine line between being like, I need you to show me your text messages, right? Because that is like, that can prove like, oh, I actually don't trust you, so I need to see that. But if there are certain little things that your partner can do that will help calm down your suspicions or whatever, and like if this person really cares about you and they want you to move past this and they want you to fully be able to trust them because they know that they want to be with you and this is like a substantial thing, then talk about ways that you guys can both start developing, like really developing the trust between each other. And it could go both ways. He might have things from his past, or she might have things from her past that are coming up. And by you bringing up this topic in communicating it, maybe it'll be beneficial for both of you. Maybe he'll be like, oh yeah, actually when you do this, it kind of triggers this from my thing. And when two people that know who they are and they're coming together and they want to build something and they know that communication is so key, you can really have these deep conversations of how are we going to do this together? Like find a good way of developing the trust together. Because if you're just over here and not communicating and you're just trying to work through it, like they may even sense some of it if you're not openly communicating it, so definitely communicate with your partner, especially if they are someone who you feel you can trust and you really want to develop that trust. So those are the four pieces of advice that I gave my coworker, and I just wanted to jump on because I feel like trust is such a huge one. I hear so many people just like, oh, don't trust anybody. It's like such a big thing of like, oh, you can't trust anybody, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yes, you can, but you got to know who, you got to know who is trustworthy. And so you first got to be able to trust yourself in picking out who is trustworthy. And you got to be able to trust yourself to feel the intuitive nudges. You got to develop your own self-trust and your own intuition to be able to be like, I know I can trust that person. And once you get there and you've been working with your intuition and it's never wrong, it gets better, it gets easier to figure out who you can trust. So trust is so huge. Communication is even huger. So like communicating about the trust or the trust issues is really key. And I'm going to go spend some more time with my dog now. So until next time, have a wonderful day and I will see you later.